What is a lease? A lease is a portion of your fee title. It's a portion of that. And it's the possessory portion. If you own a 5-unit rental property, 5 dwelling units, when you sign a lease with a tenant, what you're doing is transferring not the ownership right of that unit, but the right to possess that unit for the period of time set forth in that lease. Could be 1 month, could be a year, could be 5 years, whatever the year in the land and the tenant agree. So it's a transfer of a possessory interest. Now, why is that important? Because in New York, you don't own the oil and gas. It's part of your property, but you don't really own it until you reduce it to possession at the surface. So you have the right to drill, the right to take it, you have the right to access the pool. That comes with your warranty deed. That's unlike bluestone. Bluestone, you own it in the ground. No one can take it, only you. But oil and gas, if someone drills on your neighboring property, they can suck it out. The rule of capture says, except for 3, which we'll get to, they could otherwise take it because it's fugitive, it goes underneath the ground. All right, because you don't own in New York, in some states you do, you don't own it in place. When you reduce it to possession, you own it. So when a gas company gets from you the right of possession, and they reduce it to possession at the surface, what happens to that gas? Who owns it? Gas company, right? Because they have the right of possession, and you own oil and gas when you reduced it to possession at the surface in New York. That's why it's a lease, not a contract. There are contract terms and contract elements in a lease, but it is a grant of a real property right. Okay, that's why it's called a lease. This is very important. It's the right to tap the pool under your property. What's the rule of capture? Before Article 23 of the Environmental Conservation Law, the rule of capture said, and it's still in effect in New York, it's just partially modified by Article 23. The rule of capture says, if you own 250 acres and it forms a C around your neighbor who's got 50, and your neighbor puts down a well, and that well comes in, a gusher, that neighbor runs a pipeline out to a transmission line after treating the gas and sells it. They can suck all the gas out from all around that 50 acres, including on your property. You have the right to do that. Because remember, you have the right to access the pool and to take as much gas as will come out of that pool from their well. But you also have the right to access that pool. And before Article 23, what you could do is, on your 250 acres that surround it, you could put in 10 wells right along the border. And you could suck the gas out of that person's 50 acres. So it was really kind of Wild West. I mean, it was tough. And Jim will show you a picture. Is it Belmont? Where's that picture? Is it in Oklahoma or Texas? Of all the rigs, the compulsory integration? I'll just show you. It's got a great picture. It's got all the wells stacked up because you only made money when you took the oil and gas out of the ground. So the rule of capture did 3 bad things. Number 1, it made everybody put as many wells up as they could. So instead of 1 well draining the field and everybody sharing, they had to put up 10, 15, 20, 30 wells. Well, that's the cost of each well. It's taking out what you earn. So it cuts down the earnings. Secondly, when you put down the pinpricks in the basketball, you lose air from a lot of places, and a lot of the gas, a lot of oil remains down in the underground. Why? Because there's dissolved gas in oil, and the dissolved gas makes it flow better. When you tap this, all the gas comes out, and a lot of the oil becomes very viscous and doesn't want to flow out. So you waste a lot of oil by putting all these wells in there. And thirdly, it caused a flood in the market. Everybody wanted to get their gas out quickly or oil out quickly, and they would have these big boom and bust cycles, all of which is bad for everybody. It also forced you to invest immediately. You couldn't really plan. Article 23 is based on a model statute that was originally the Interstate Compact. among a bunch of a series of states who were oil-producing states. New York State and Pennsylvania were once the oil-producing states 100 years ago. Texas and Oklahoma later took them over. And what that model statute said was, okay, we're going to change the way this works. This isn't working. We're going to give every owner of oil and gas rights in a state like New York, where you have the right to drill, correlative rights. And Jim will show what correlative rights are in part of his program. Correlative rights means you have the equal right to your percentage of the gas and oil underneath your property as the neighbor does under his property. The law said, we're going to form units, and we're going to allow one well per unit. And the unit will be maybe 250 acres. Now, if the 50-acre neighbor wants a well, he's going to have to link with you with leases and make a 250-acre unit, or nobody can drill. In New York, you can drill if, as the permit holder, you have 60% of the acreage in your unit under your control. Either you own it or you lease it. You can get the permit. No one else can drill in that unit. So you've lost the right to take your gas once this unitization occurs. And only one person gets the right to drill. But they have to share the gas prorated, or the oil prorated. The problem is the terms of that sharing are not necessarily equitable, and we'll talk about that later. Today, we just want to know that the rule of capture said you had the right to drill as many wells as you could, and if you didn't, they could suck it out. And if you could drill more than that, you could suck theirs out. That was the rule of capture. So this is the background to these oil and gas leases. Everything we're going to talk about is based on that law. Leases. In leases, there are two basic forms of provisions. One, which are conditions, which means if they're not met, the lease can be forfeited. It's like an eviction. You can throw them out. There are conditions. If they don't do it, the lease is forfeited. The other is covenants. Covenants are just promises. They're not conditions. If they violate the promise, you sue for damages. Now, if you're a landowner, which would you want to do? Hire an attorney, $250 an hour, to sue for damages when they've got in-house counsel and it'll be years and years because it's a covenant? Or would you rather have it as a condition where if they violate it, you sue in court a victim, and that's it, get out. I tell you, I'll take the conditions any day. In fact, we write our leases for our coalitions with conditions, not covenants. Covenants don't get you very